At this point, we will hand over to our third presenter, and I'm delighted to be able to introduce Debbie Robinson, who will be talking about education, exercise, and services. And she is the Chief Executive of Central Cooperative and fundamental to our own thinking as a fellow cooperator. So at this point, no more further ado, over to you, Debbie.
Hello, sorry, can you all hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh, excellent. Thank you very much. I'm delighted to have been given this opportunity to share with you some of the work that we're doing at Central Co-op and within the broader cooperative movement. And now I know someone is kindly doing the slides for me, so thank you so much. Oh, that's absolutely brilliant. I'll probably move through the slides fairly quickly, and it won't be lost on many of you. There's a nice picture of actually some product on in store. As you probably aware, we are just recovering from quite a significant cyber attack that impacted Co-op Group. But we should have resuming full service within the next few weeks. It will be a bit lumpy to say the least. So if we could move on to the next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, so we've obviously got all of the context, which I think has probably already been well covered. So I'll move on to the next slide. Thank you. And just looking at how we look at the education, we look at self-responsibility, a founding cooperative principle, and therefore allowing people to self-help, another founding cooperative principle. And we do this in many ways. And one of the most important aspects is around an adopt a school initiative that we have within our society. And that's where the store managers in the food stores and the funeral directors work very closely with their local schools, where we allow them into our society, look at how their food is made. We offer free fruit to all people under the age of 16 in our stores on an ongoing basis. If we move on to the next slide. Thank you. And again. Thanks. Brilliant. So we do this in a number of ways. The initiatives are really quite incredible. And some of you may be aware, but the co-op was instrumental in the front of pack nutritional labelling. And that was the traffic light system that was the use of the red, amber, green, looking at the nutritional content on food. So we did a systematic review of all Co-op own label products, obviously to offer the greatest balance that we possibly could within the Adopt a School, and also the work that our member and community services groups is about going into schools and educating them on certain food groups. We do a wonderful initiative where students can actually come into store. They're given a limited amount of money. We initially tell them to go and spend it exactly as they'd like. And then actually we make comparisons, and it's quite fascinating. There will always be a group that will do this really, really well. They will make great food choices from a nutritional and content perspective, and there'll be others who'll just choose all of their favourite things, which are rarely healthy, unfortunately. But something that stuck with me many years ago in the early part of my career was talking to single parent families and actually saying, I know strawberries are better for you than multi-packs of crisps, but when you've got the school holidays to face, the punnet of strawberries is gone in a nanosecond, and the crisps at least last you until the end of the day. So something that I think is really important is the inequality of access to affordable food. But at the root of that is around pay. So something we really work hard on in Central Co-op is to pay and reward our colleagues, especially those at the entry level, is really, really quite crucial. And I think that is at the root of a lot of what we're talking about. It is the quality of education, but it is also the affordability of food to most people. And it's quite abhorrent that so many people in our society are still dependent on food banks in order to access affordable food. And I do think that we need to take into consideration all of those factors in considering the issues that we face. If we move on to the next slide, please. Thank you. So we've done lots of work. All of our new stores, we plant a tree. Some of the things seem quite simple, but we also encourage guerrilla sort of gardening, where every aspect and green spaces that we use in our stores for the community to grow what it is that they want the most. And sometimes that's kind of herbs just to enhance a meal. But then we go right down to offer cooking courses. And this works so beautifully because it's the community itself coming together, and it is a member of the community that's actually providing the quality in terms of the member classes. So it really does mean that we bring together all aspects of the local community, but it's for them by them. So it's not about us going in thinking that we know all of the answers. It's about us truly working together to find the solutions that meet the diverse communities that we serve in our co-op. Just moving to the next slide. Thank you. Exercise is something that's very dear to my heart. I'll be honest, I love sport. I have been able to remain active for most of my life, and I do fairly extreme things. I am going to go out to Tanzania supporting the Mines Advisory Group that clear unexploded bombs in war-torn countries in July. It's the 10th tour I will have been on. But we focus in two areas on exercise at the early intervention, and we do that through a bicycle repair service and indeed recycling scheme. So we just say to people, got any old bikes that have been in the shed or the garage or the backyard that you haven't been used for a long time? Let's see if we can spruce those up, because there's often a child in our communities that would love to be able to have a bicycle of their own. And this is proving really successful because it's multi-generational, but it is the community helping the community. Added to that is we have worked really hard and closely with the National Cycle Network, and we put a bicycle repair station. There's one example there in Congleton in all of our new stores and redevelopment. So that just goes in as a matter of course. And certainly often you sort of get the bike out, oh, that you've got a flat tire, so you put it back in the shed rather than thinking, where can I go to get it fixed? So we're really just trying to do simple, practical things and normalising it rather than making it sort of extraordinary. Of course, it has not only health benefits, but it also has environmental benefits too. And we also put defibrillators into all of our food stores and funeral homes. And we've recently added bleed kits, which of course can be really helpful if there has been a huge intervention in terms of whether that's a road accident or sadly, but increasingly a stabbing in the local community. So we think you put all these things together along with the benches outside of stores, inside of stores, really decent toilet facilities that have free nappies and free sanitary protection are all important in making people feel included in their community and also taking care of themselves. At the other end of the scale, so when people sort of become increasingly inactive, often later in life, this is where our member classes really come in, and we've got everything from yoga, tai chi, dance, lots of different forms of dancing. And last week I was at our Retired Employees Society lunch that we do on an annual basis, and the number of former colleagues that are now over 90. And we even had Connie there who was celebrating her 100th birthday and is still incredibly active. And those former colleagues and members are active because of the work that we do in the community to provide friendship, to combat loneliness, and to keep people moving as much as they can for as long as they can. Just on to the next slide, please. Thank you. And then major community events as well, not necessarily major, but something that we've done fairly recently is we have sponsored Derbyshire County Cricket Club. And the reason that we've done that is it's a mutual. So it's a co-op in its own right, and it does an enormous amount to bring the very diverse community across the county of Derbyshire together in a shared passion for the game of cricket. But in addition to that, we look for hyper-local events that are meaningful in the communities that we serve. So we don't go to create our own thing. We work really hard through our membership to understand what it is that they want the most, what is important to them, and how can we support them. So we literally provide support, financial support, but often just with our colleagues being present and actually adding lots of the practical management skills, but also leadership skills in how the communities can work together to extend their own programmes. So you can see there's always lots of football, there's athletics, there's netball. You can see lots of bikes there being repaired, and it's just wonderful how people feel when the bike that they have had for so many years is just going to have a whole new lease of life and provide joy, pleasure and physical activity. Thank you. Just on to the next one. And then really looking and thinking further afield, many of you will be aware of the importance of the fair trade movement and the co-op working together. I was at Co-op Group 30 odd years ago. It's now 31 years since the first fairly traded products were sold in the UK, and they were sold through co-ops. It's something I really feel passionately about. It's the people that serve all of our goods and services and often provide products that clearly can't be grown in the UK. So tea, coffee, cocoa that's turned into chocolate, nuts, etc. And at Central Co-op, we wanted to go a step further. And the step further is actually by working with whole communities. And in this instance, it is the country of Malawi. Malawi is the fourth poorest nation in the world. Yet it is blessed with fertile soil, with obviously fantastic weather for growing. Their rice is the best quality rice in the world. And we made a 5-year commitment to trade with them. And where we also are looking to extend the Adopt a School programme to communities in Malawi. So each time you buy one of the products in the range, we make contributions as well as contributions from our surpluses to work with Malawi. Despite the amount of sun that they have, they don't use solar energy. So we're working with them that the co-ops that we're developing in Malawi will be the first fully sustainable communities where they're using all of the natural resources. Many of the products, particularly the nuts that they produce, are highly nutritious, both for our own communities, but also the community in Malawi. If we just move on to the next slide, please. And going beyond that, on the 21st of December, 2024, so 180 years since the Rochdale pioneers first created the values and principles and the cooperative movement that we know as today, we launched an international development fund. And that international development fund, we were really trying to move it on again from fair trade, on again from the Malawi project about creating sustainable food systems right at the grower level. So we think that this is fundamental to future food security. And it ties in really nicely with the initiatives that we have, which is on the Too Good to Go programme that many of you will be aware of. So we are sharing all of the best practice that we have in the UK with co-ops overseas. So this virtuous circle, the fact that we need to make sure that there's less and less food waste. We also took a pretty big decision to look right across the product range with our member offers, but we're doing this on everyday basics and all of the products that have a much higher nutritional value and are essential to the diet and health of the communities that we serve. So that's, you can see here, salad products, eggs, and also the grow range of products that clearly is plant-based and is sustainably much more environmentally friendly. And a little example there of a herb garden when we work with the community in Hambledon in Lancashire. That were really saying, oh, it would just be great just to be able to snip off a few herbs, because even when you buy a small packet in shops, they often go off before you've used them all. And they've now taken over a much bigger part of the area that is close to the car park and are growing lots more fruits and vegetables. Just moving on to the next, please. Thank you. So hopefully what you've seen there is a real combination of tackling things at the root cause, which is about adding the nutritional information on the front of pack, which of course has meant the reformulation has moved things towards healthier products. Working in the local community in terms of through both education and offering lots of exercise and different services to meet the needs of the varying groups that we have in the communities that we serve. And I understand from the previous presentations, there's so many areas to tackle. And what I really wanted to bring home here was simple, practical solutions that really do bring communities together and really show the power of cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deborah Robinson. That was absolutely fascinating. Again, you've sort of caught me with a few very interesting angles. I love the fact that it's so much from the bottom up with an active membership, simple, practical things around health and environment, and recognizing that you've really got to do finding solutions that meet the diversity of the community. Your old bikes scheme. We have a repair cafe, and then in respect of sport, well, I do the London Marathon, but of course, it still takes me back to the fact that I'm eating sometimes not the healthiest of food, and I think we would all applaud what you're doing in Malawi. So please keep up the good work.